We're back.
It's the fastest hour on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary, quite incredible, quite unlike anything you may have experienced in your life.
It's time for Top Spur TV. With your host, Douglas Bruce and Big Mike Fisher. Fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Top Spur.
Hey guys, and welcome into another episode of Top Spur. I am Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host, wingman extraordinaire and partner in crime, as always, Big Mike Fisher. Big Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
Man, another busy week. It's like I'm running in here, changing clothes out here in the hallway, sitting down, and I'm ready to roll. I just got here from the gym.
This is I've known you for quite a few years, and this is the first time you've ever been late for anything. As long as I've known you, you're messaging me, 20 minutes before time to go, saying, "Hey, man, I might be 30 minutes late." So, that rarely ever happens. I've never known you to be late to anything, and of course, you being American, you're going to text me 20 minutes before you're late and tell me you're going to be late. So I don't really think that counts as late. That's not if you tell in advance.
Yeah, exactly. And you and I, if we didn't like doing this, because it takes time and effort even to get, you know what I mean? Because I know you're busy as hell too. So, if we didn't enjoy doing this, it makes it all worth it though once we sit down and get to shoot the shit for a little while,
We had to go back and reboot software today and all kinds of things just to be able to pull off a show. I didn't get it all done yesterday, and that's why yesterday I messaged you and Tony said I don't think we're going to get this done today. So, but there's a whole lot goes into it that people don't realize, that if you've never done a podcast, actually put on a podcast, there's a lot to it. Mike and I both spend a lot of time preparing for the show and subject matter and all of that stuff.
The easy part. The show's the easy part. Getting here,
that's
the tough part.
The hour that everybody sees, that's the finish line. There, we're done. We're done at that point. But guys, appreciate you tuning in. As you guys, most of and the subscribers is growing every week. We're adding new subscribers. Getting lots of views on the show. Guys, we're Spurred Chronicles on YouTube. If you're watching us somewhere else if you're watching or listening on the audio podcast, or you're watching on one of the other places that we're on, we're on YouTube. The channel is Spurred Chronicles, and the show, of course, is Top Spur TV. If you're watching and you're enjoying the show, we appreciate if you go down and hit the like button, hit the subscription button, and slap the notification bell. That way you can, whenever we're doing an average about 3 of these a month right now. We're going to try to get back up and running where we're doing them live. We're almost there. We're putting together the equipment and software that it takes, and then getting trained up on it to be able to do these live again like we used to. April's running everything and making everything work. We appreciate that. But guys, do hit the subscription. And if you want to talk to us, you got a question, you got an idea for a show, send us an email at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. You can send us an email, and we try to always reply to all the emails. Or you can just leave us a comment down in the comment section. If there's something here that we're talking about, we want to hear from you, want to hear your opinion on it. Today, Big Mike, we're talking about a couple of things. S.D.S, sudden death syndrome in chickens. That's definition of that is when you go out to the brood pen in the morning to feed your favorite brood cock or hen, and they're laying there sunning the bottom of their feet. On their back, and of course, as my dad used to always say, it'll always be the best damn son of a bitch on the farm that ends up, being killed by a predator or dead, something, freak accident, the one you paid $1,000 for the broodcock, that's the one that gets killed.
The typhoon knocked over the tree and it killed 3 broodcocks from Steve. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, that's the only chickens that died.
No, no way that tree had ever reached hit one of those dung hills out there on the other side. You know, no, no. That's I don't know if that's just the Lord trying to teach us patience, or if it's Murphy's law, or what it is. But it seems like, you know, it seems like I remember I had this bellcock one time, and he was about 5 or 6 years old. I was still breeding him. Man, he was still producing biggest, the most beautiful cock you ever put your hands on. Gentle as a lamb, could fight like a ninja. Just an amazing. He was actually a gift from Mike Ratliff. Best looking rooster I ever owned. And Desmond comes in one day and says, "Dad, man," and I notice he's standing in the doorway where he can run because he knows I'm going to go explode like a Roman candle. He's like, "Dad, the bell's dead." I said, "What bell's dead?" The bell, the old brood guy. I'm like, "Ah, what happened?" I just laying there dead on a tie cord. I'm like, geez. Of course, that's always the way it has. If you guys have ever went out and found your favorite brood hen or brood rooster or whatever, the one you were saving, leave us a comment, tell us the story about it. We'd like to hear it. The other thing we're talking about some of the causes of sudden death syndrome, or SDS as it's actually called. It's actually a literal thing, Mike. You can look it up in the veterinarian books. Uh, the other thing we're going to talk a little bit about, and probably launch with it first, is it's molting season right around the corner. Feathers starting to fly, starting to drop. We'll talk a little bit about molting today, and your opinion, my opinion on force molting. A lot of people like that. A lot of people do that. And we're gonna hit that and talk about it as well. But uh, Big Mike, what has been going on in your neck of the woods here the last little bit?
Yeah, things been going good up at our farm, man. I tell you, knock on wood. I hate to jinx myself, but God, my stags look good. We're using those turkeys to hen hatch, and man, I tell you, 20 under each one of them. It's working like a champ.
That's like having a
I
little
mean,
little. That's like having a little igloo cooler incubator, right? The 2020. That's like those little round ones they used to have when I was in school.
damn right, man. I mean, you know, uh, I tell you, well, speaking of turkeys, we had my Theodore's birthday party this weekend, and we picked out a couple of big ones, and Florente came up there, and I told him, "You want the big?" He said, "Yeah, okay, big," because he's gonna roast them, like how they do the roasted chickens here. And when he got there and he saw these big turkeys, he said, "Man, if I, that would, I'll be turning that bamboo for hours, Those are too
Yeah.
big." Um, so I got some 7-month-old turkey, and we brought them down, and man, I tell you what, we're we're doing it good. Those turkeys were awesome, and even
Probably a
though
lot more
roasted,
tender too. Yeah, a lot more tender
they
being
were
young like that.
they were good. I tell you, we really, having turkey, goats, and stuff like that up at the farm is nice because we had 4 kilos of goat to eat there, so we had goat at the party, and makes it worth the effort worthwhile, when you eat your
Yeah.
own stuff that you raised. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and there's something about that. I used to garden a lot years ago. I'd garden all the time and had a pretty good green thumb. I could grow a. I always had pretty nice gardens, and there's just something about eating an entire meal that all came out of your garden or out of your pens. You know,
So,
uh, you raised the hog, you grew the chicken, and you got ham and eggs for breakfast. This is something, just something, but the potato you grew in your garden, and you had hash browns or home fries with it. Just, yeah, I don't know. It just, for me, it was just always something. Is like, I you know I managed to sustain myself for one meal here.
sure.
All my effort. It's just something about it that's rewarding. Feels
Yeah,
good.
it felt good when 'cause everybody's like, "Oh, well, those turkey came from your farm," and I said, "Yeah, we brought them down." So yeah,
Now,
I liked it.
now, if you could just figure out how to make Coke Zero, you'd be totally, you'd be totally off the grid. You wouldn't need anybody. You just,
I'm never going to town again.
yeah, if you could just learn to make Coke Zero out there on that
Right.
farm. I don't even know where to begin, but somebody's got the recipe somewhere. So I bet you can look it up on YouTube. YouTube,
You're more tech savvy than me. I know you'd find it.
April. Yeah,
Mike, I got it.
hey, April. Yeah, how can I make Coke Zero? Yeah, yeah. When I was a kid, Dad taught me how to recognize sassafras, which is not hard to recognize, but sassafras, the small sassafras trees, and I would always, and then I showed my kids later on. I would always dig them up when I was a kid, and because Mom and them didn't buy a lot of Cokes and stuff like that, but I would dig up sassafras roots and boil them, and they taste sassafras tea tastes just like root beer. I mean, it
Oh
it
wow.
tastes identical to root beer, and you can drink it hot, but I would put it in a I'd make it and put it in the refrigerator for a while and let it cool off, and then drink it just like root beer. So that's pretty cool too. Just go out in the woods and make your own soda. So wasn't carbonated, but it was good anyway. It was good. So
Flat soda.
yep. Yeah, it works. I guess that's where the term root beer came from, is from people using roots to make
Oh,
a drink out of. I imagine
the
that's
more
where the
you
term.
know. See, you
Yeah,
learn everything on this show. We bring it all.
we're a plethora of useless information. So,
Right.
oh boy, we're off to a good start here, Big Mike. Guys, we're gonna take a quick break here and a message from Black Rooster, and when we come back, we're gonna jump in here and talk about molting season just around the corner. Uh, uh, we'll be right back after this commercial break. Hey guys, welcome back into the all new Top Spur TV. Douglas Bruce here, along with my co host and partner in crime, Big Mike Fisher. We're talking about, going to be talking about force molting, and molting season is just around the corner. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Uh, if you're new to the show and you like it, we appreciate you watching. Appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button. Also, hit the notification bell so you get notices. You can email us at Bruce and Big Mike at gmail.com, and we'll try to answer you back. Also, if you got something, a comment, or want to suggest a topic or something like that, just put it down in the comments, and we'll try to answer you back on all of it. Uh, Big Mike, molting season is around the corner. Are you are your birds starting to get ragged?
They sure are. And like I was telling you before the show, the thing here, down here in the city, it's one temperature. Up at the mountain, you know,
Oh
10 miles away, it's a different story. It's cold up there. And when I brought the roosters down here to Florentes, because it's almost molting season, and when I brought the ones from the mountain down here where it's hot, it kicked them, man. It did something to them, and they started dropping feathers. So I took
yeah.
them back up there. It's just weird, the temperature difference is so drastic in such
Yeah,
a
it
close.
actually is. It's amazing how it's, and of course it's not really like that so much in the states, because yeah, it's cooler in the mountains or in the hillsides up in the hills, but but you don't really notice it there. There, you know, today it's one temperature, tomorrow it could be 20, 30 degrees lower. You don't have that here. It's pretty much the same temperature all the time. Rainy season, what they consider winter rainy season here, it gets a little cooler because the sun's not shining as much, but still there's not, they don't have seasons here, so that's a big thing. Uh,
No, we
uh,
don't. Like it just started to rain now, and it's a hard rain, but in the same time every day, about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock every day, it'll start to rain. here.
yeah,
It's weird.
yeah,
I mean, it does.
it's been raining here. Of course, it's yeah. I guess it's rainy season or coming rainy season soon. But the entire for 2 months I lived here, it didn't rain at all. We never got a drop of rain, and then all of a sudden, it started raining, and it rains just about every night, which is just about right for where you are compared to where I am. It's about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There, it starts raining. Here, it starts raining. After dark. Which is it's about 400 miles from here to there. Uh, by the way the crow flies, but
Sure.
uh, we'll talk about the mold here in just a little bit in a minute, but I've seen guys and really screw up by bringing roosters down out of the mountains and taking them to a pit on sea level and trying to show them after only being for a couple of days. I think that can make a real. I might be wrong, but I think it can make a real effect in the rooster's performance if they're not acclimatized just a little bit.
Well, here, the crazy thing in our mountain, the sun is powerful. Like when I go up there with no shirt, in 1 hour, I'm torched if I don't put
Yeah,
sunscreen
it'll
on. But it's
it'll
cold.
sting. Yeah,
That's right. But there's a breeze. It's not hot. So it's it's very deceiving. And I think that in itself, when you now, I also experience this thing too when I drive up there and come down. And like today, I had to go up there and drop some bagasso. They had bagasso in supply now, so I got some and took it up there. And when I come down, I feel a little bit dizzy. Going up the mountain and coming down, uh, it does something to me sometimes too. So that's another thing I think
yeah.
affects us like that. That
Well, the sun
altitude
is
change.
the sun is so much more intense here than it is in the states due to being closer to the equator and all of that. It makes the sun is really intense here sometimes. But talking about the molding season, of course, we got a lot of ragged looking chickens at the farm here as well. And I put up some fowl, some of my hatch, some of the bills, and trying to breed them, and they're I got a few of them that are laying, but it's not the ideal situation. I don't like, of course, the ones I'm breeding aren't really molting yet, but I don't like, breeding. Breeding in the molt is kind of a fool's errand because the hatch rate goes way down. The hens are feverish. The cock is feverish. That added heat, body temperature keeps the eggs from being as fertile, uh, and it's a lot of stress on the hens, especially. She's trying to produce eggs and all of that, and lose feathers. Produce feathers and got blood feathers and all that. So it's kind of a it's kind of a mess. So I don't really like to get into that. I'll probably end up just waiting. I haven't been up there in a few days, but I'll probably go up there and end up breaking up my brood pens just simply because the molt's catching up with us. But uh, something that I discovered when I moved here that I had no idea when I first came here. You and I talked about it before. Is that stags and pullets molt here, whereas they don't in the states. I was stunned at seeing a 10-month-old stag, all his feathers dropping out the first time when I
Yeah,
first came here 8, 9 years ago.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I, I'm sure it does have something to do with the position of the equator. Our position in reference to the equator, because the sun being intense here, I'm sure that's what it is. Uh, the pull on the earth or whatever. But when you first got here and we were talking, you were like, no, they don't. I was like, yeah, they do.
Yeah, never
You know,
never seen that.
but
And
they also molt different here, like different times. Like I said, it's cold up there right now. If I go and get one of those roosters and bring it down, or bring a rooster from down here and put it up there, they might start dropping feathers too. It's
yeah,
the change in weather does it. It's this is a weird place, man. It really is. So
well,
I
if it
think sometimes I can't relate to stuff that happens in the States. Like you guys can plan it out. Like what we're going to talk about forced molt. It would make sense to do that here, but
yeah.
I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would take the time and effort to do it. I have workers. It's not like I would do it if I was there at myself, I could probably do it. But when you have workers, it's
hard
you
to
know.
tell them what to do and then grasp
And if
it.
something fucks up, if something messes up, then what I mean. I can't kick myself in the ass, or can I, or it's on them, and it just makes things
Yeah,
confusing. Some
yeah, and it's
language
hard.
barrier.
Yeah, the language barrier, and if you've never lived here or raised chickens here or anything like that, a lot of people don't understand the difficulty in the language barrier, and it's not the lack of English or having a translator to, like, I've got April and she translates every, because I live in a town where people do not speak very good English here. Very few,
Yeah.
you know. Nick speaks better English, and he actually well educated and speaks English as well as he does the Tagalog, and of course so does April. April speaks English better than any, Filipino I know practically, but or at least she understands my English better than after being together a few years. But with like farm workers and things, it's not the language so much as it is the comprehension of what you're trying to say. It's
Right.
almost like it's almost like you're talking about, uh, it'd be like going back to the 1800s and then trying to explain a Cadillac to somebody. You know,
I remember
you,
one time I told Juby I wanted him to make a raised floor the size of that pen for those chicks that I could paint. That way I
yeah,
could just clean it off and wouldn't touch the dirt. Just
get,
make me
get
a
them up off.
floor.
Yeah,
2x2s on the edge, put me a piece of plywood. I come back and there's a cabinet,
yeah, yep,
a cabinet. I was like, what the hell is this?
yeah. Yeah, it's funny, but it's not. It's frustrating when you're in the moment. It's like, what the French toast is that? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah, man.
sometimes I just
My
shake my head.
expectations got away. My expectations got away from
Lower,
me for a second,
yep,
man.
yep. Lowered expectations. You're exactly right. You're
Yeah,
exactly right. So it happens. It
yeah.
happens, and
So,
that's why it's hard getting complicated in something, especially if you're not there 24/7. If you live on the farm, you can go out there and you can put their hand on it and say, no, 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 like this, you know. Uh, but if you're not there and you give instructions and then you come back 24 hours later, eh, you might have a cabinet. You might have a, you might have a, you know,
a fucking house.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I said range, not not a house. So, yeah, that is one of the difficulties and like I said, it's not the English so much as it is the the comprehension of. It's easy for us to talk over their ability to
That's right.
understand. Yeah, they're
In in
and
in
it's
the
not.
military, we would call that a leadership failure. Like I
Yeah,
failed. I failed
yeah,
to get my
yeah,
point across.
yeah,
It
exactly.
falls
Yeah,
on me. It all
yeah,
starts with leadership. That falls back
yeah.
on me. So I
Well,
may laugh about it, but it's my fault.
and it
I
it
got
seems like we're, you know, you the people may think we're blaming them, but really not. I mean, we should be speaking, Visayan or Tagalog or whatever. That's the failure right there. We're trying to operate, trying to operate this system on a shoestring, instead of actually learning the language,
That's right.
but
That's exactly what I said recently to somebody when they said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "No, it's my fault because this is your country. I don't speak your
yeah,
language." But I tell you what, man, I've been today. I was showing off up there at the little restaurant on the side of the road up there. I was talking my Visaya to them, and they were like amazed. And it was pretty cool. Even Clarence was surprised. Oh, Dad, you're learning. So yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm getting there, slowly but
yeah,
surely.
yeah. It's uh, she came in the other day, and I told her, I said, let's eat in Tagalog, and it freaked her out. She's like, what? And so just a little bit of effort seems to please them, but you can't really fault them. I mean, I remember growing up, in the States, and anybody that didn't speak English, like, I need to speak American, hell, this is America, you need to learn English, so that's the case here. We need to speak the language. Unfortunately, there's multiple languages here that you need to learn if you're gonna move around too much. But is there anything that you do? We'll get into the force molt in just a second. But is there anything that you recommend in the molt other than making sure they got plenty of water, uh, quality feed? Is there anything that you give that you do during the molt that's different than the rest of the time?
The only thing I do is whenever they start to drop feathers, I tell Janelle to give them some B complex.
Hmm.
That's the only thing I do. Give them a little bit of iron. That's it. I don't do anything else. Yeah, I don't do anything else. And really, I don't have problems. The only problem I have is the fact that they molt different times. And when I say different times, like it'll be like almost a whole year that I have it, a chicken or two in some stage of the molt because of that mountain. And I didn't have
Yeah,
that down here. When I was down on the lowland down here, I didn't have that problem. They all molted about the same time because feathers would be all over. Up
yeah.
there, I mean, you can go there any time and there will be a chicken there that has feathers not complete.
Well, that's
At least one.
only thing that I really do, is I give apple cider vinegar, which I give a lot anyway. But I give apple cider vinegar. It seems to really, when the feathers come back in, they seem to be that really helps them shiny. It's good for chickens year round anyway. Talking about the different times, being up on the mountain and them molting in different times. That's where in a case like that, that's where force molding might benefit
Yeah.
you. You know, being able to, and by force molding, guys, typically the theory is you drop the protein level down for a couple of weeks, drop it down real low, 11%, 12%. And I'm not an expert on it, but I've heard enough people talk about it. Uh, I've never done it myself. I'm just not a fan of it. I like, you know, as most of you guys, if you know the show or you follow us at all, you know that Mike and I are typically pretty much just all natural. You know, don't screw it up by trying to do something.
I don't
That you
inject
think.
any of the crazy stuff. In fact, the only thing that I even antibiotics now, I don't give antibiotics through a needle anymore.
Yeah.
The only thing that I've ever injected out there now, and which I give to my goats too, is B complex. That's it.
Yeah, and vitamins and supplements are fine, given at the right times and all of that. But I'm like you, if you, it's like you're trying to immunize everything from the zombie apocalypse. You're given. I can understand vaccines, but and I started out, when I first got started here and all of that. You're running preemptive antibiotics and all that, and the farther I've gotten, the I don't know. I don't know if that really works or not. I know, like Nick, you know,
It's funny you say that. because God, man, it's funny you say that because I was thinking about something. Somebody posted some pictures of their, 3 day, 5 day, and stuff like that. Like somebody posted something for coccidia, and I'm going to tell you. Remember, I used to think those chickens, those chicks that would get sick and all like would start dropping off. It turns out it was overcrowding. They got worms,
Yeah.
But I think people don't cut their chicks open. And now that I treat worms, even such when they first come out, and I have this thing like every week, I deworm them now
Yeah.
with that. Gosh, what Latigo is what I use. I use that Latigo and put it in their feed. I don't have any more problems like that. I tell you, I don't know that they ever had coccidia. Florente is the one that you told me when I first had chicks that started getting sick one time. He said, Mike, I think it's coccidia. Buy this, and I won't say the medicine because I don't want to bash anybody. But I saw them using that, and I tell you, deworming is what cured everything for me. And I
Yeah.
don't
See, that's
overcrowd them.
that's how the old timers did it. That's of course people. I get bashed all the time for using kerosene or whatever, but I deworm to death. I deworm everything all the time. Uh, you know, baby chicks at day three, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I'm giving Bastinero. I'm giving them the Bastinero Plus liquid. I'm giving them the kerosene drops. One drop at day three, one drop at day 30, two drops at day 60, day 90, three drops, and on and on. And uh, I think, and it's something Nick and I talk about quite a bit. And he's not big on medications. He's not big on vaccinations. Nutrition and lack of stress, keeping this overcrowding stress level down, and deworming is a lot of either brings on disease or is mistaken for disease. The older I get, the more I believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And I tell you though, the one thing I did was make that change to my vaccination program with that new clone. I mean, I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me, and that made a hell of a difference because I tell
I
you,
asked him.
my the only thing
I asked
different.
him about that, and he was big on it. He knew guys that swore by it, and a lot of positive, the clone
Well, the
vaccinations.
farm next to me we're right next to each other. You know, my chick got wiped out. That what is that? 2 years ago when that happened. So I took a year break after that happened. I just said, man, forget it. You spend all this money on feed, and next thing you know, you kill everything. And I said, let me
The disappointment
regroup.
factor.
So I took a break. Their chicks were fine. So what vaccination? And he told me, and I did it, and man, no problems this year.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's supposed to be really good stuff. Getting back to force molt, they drop the protein level down for a couple of weeks, and then they bring it back up. Uh,
Well,
uh,
how would you
and
drop it? That's what I was going to ask you. If I want to do that, let's say I want to force molt, what should I do? If I want to do it by dropping the protein, just
what I
like a
understand
force.
about it, and like I said, I'm no expert. We've had people talk about it on the show years past that came on. Uh, uh, I think they dropped the protein level down to like 11%, a couple of weeks on the lower protein, and it causes the chickens to go into a situation where the feathers just fall off of them. Really, they really start molding out when you bring the protein level back up in a couple of weeks. It kicks in that cycle, and in a situation like this where you've got cocks, that don't want to molt, and you want to show them in a certain time period. Like you said, stags molt over here. Being able to get them to molt out before your stag derby season starts, or you got hens that you want to put up in the brood pen, and they're just lingering, not wanting to molt. I can understand it. I can understand why people do it, and it's something that I might try sometime, and see. I've not done it. in the audience, guys, if any of you force molt or know anything about it, please leave us a comment. Tell us about it, and you know, that's what this show is all about. It's not me and Big Mike up here just telling you the way we do it. We're interested in hearing from you guys as well. So if you know anything about force molding or have tried it or have had any experience with it, let us know in the comments. Uh, there's quite a few things you can look. I mean, you can look it up, Mike, online, and I'll send you something on it. Like I said, I've heard people talk about it. Even
I
I can
might have
understand.
to. It's to a point now where I might have to, because I even, I have 6 down here at Florente's house that dropped feathers. I took them back up, and then I bring some more down, and he just told me today that the other one is starting to drop. And I said, man, it's something when you bring them down. So maybe I have to do that.
I would.
Kickstart.
I don't think I would. If I were in the States, I don't think I would do it in the States. I just think I'd let
Yeah.
nature run its course. But here, you're raising chickens in an unnatural environment, which is not conducive to the things that trigger molt and the things that get them through the molt. It's 80 degrees here, day, night, year round. And, in America, man, you get a cold snap around September, October, and they'll start pushing feathers. They'll be through the molt 3 or 4 weeks, you know. Whereas here, they'll molt for 6 months. It's like you said, they'll molt year round if you let them. So I can understand it. Guys, let us know. If you guys got any tricks or things you do, especially during the molt that helps. If there's any natural remedies that you use or whatever, we'd like to hear about it. I'm sure the other members in the audience would like to hear what your thoughts on molting. Uh, uh, I've had chickens that just would take 3 months to get through a molt, and used to, that was always the sign that especially with a cock or a hen, that an older cock or hen that that they were losing their health, they were losing their youth, their vigor. If Mike Ratliff used to always say, breed them until they stop molting, until they get to where they can't get through the molt. He was very famous for breeding older cocks. 11, 12, 13-year-old cock was not uncommon for him to breed. You got some of the 10-time winner, you want to try and get as many stags out of it as you can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
You guys, if you like I said, if you've experienced like force molding, you've got some experience with it or whatever, leave us a comment, or you can email us at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. We'd love to talk to you about it. Big Mike, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about S.D.S, sudden death syndrome, which is something that both of us have experienced in the last couple of weeks on 2 different farms, and it seems to happen a lot. Maybe we can shed some light on some of the reasons that it could be happening to other people. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this message. Hey guys, welcome back into the show. Top Spur. I'm Douglas Bruce along with Big Mike Fisher, and we're talking to you here today about sudden death syndrome. If you guys are new to the show, we'd appreciate it if you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so that you'll get a notification every time we drop content. We're doing about 3 shows a month right now. We're hoping to get it back up to one a week, and then be able to go live here shortly. Big Mike, our numbers are growing. The watchtowers are growing really well, and the subscribers are growing. Really surprised at how well we're doing after we took off for several months. 6 7 months we didn't do anything, and then working on other projects, and then we were back doing these, and it's really starting to grow again. Guys, mention our sponsor, Black Rooster. You can check out I think just about every. They're in all the Pacifica stores everywhere. So you can check out the Black Rooster products there. High quality supplements for game fowl, and also if you'd like a book or a DVD, or want to know more about the products that I produce, you can go to www.topspur.tv and check out there. Also, we have an audio podcast. You can listen to it on Buzzsprout or Spotify or just about anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're on the majority of them all around the world. Big Mike, sudden death syndrome, S.D.S. Like we were talking about before, that's where you come out and your favorite hen or rooster is just laying there dead. Looks like he's sunbathing.
The kicking the balls.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's an actual real thing. You can look it up on in the medical books and that sort of thing. It is an actual literal thing. It's something that just not something that just happens, but there's a number of reasons for it, and that's one thing about it is it's very hard to diagnose exactly what could have caused it, but it does happen. I had a hen found her dead, a pullet actually. She was 10 11 months old, pullet, uh, just in a brood pen, found her dead, no reason whatsoever, healthy as she could be, just laying there dead, not a mark on her anywhere. uh, you had a brood cock that ended up the same way in the last day or so. And tell me a little bit about the broodcock, and
Well,
what you found, and your investigation, and then we'll get into some of these reasons that the medical community, veterinarian community, gives for SDS.
well, you know how it is when you don't live on the farm. You get the message, "Sir, we have a problem."
Yeah, Houston.
So I, I pulled over. What's the problem? Because I was driving, and I get this, when it says, "Sir, we have a problem," I'm just like, I pulled
Yeah,
over.
yeah. You
What's
feel
the
your
problem?
wallet. You feel your wallet grabbing you by the ass. Yeah,
God. So I pulled over. What's the problem? He said, the mug broodcock is dead. And I said, what happened? He said, I don't know. I took it out of the brood pen 3 days ago. It's just laying next to its water cup. It died. And I said, well, cut it open and see if see what it was, because he was like, I'm sorry. I said, that stuff happens. I said, just cut it open, see if you can see, maybe it just choked on feed. Mainly, I just wanted them to see that it's not something they did or didn't do. And there was no, what's crazy? There was no feed, and he didn't choke on feed. The only thing that they found, they said that the liver looked dark, So, and you had mentioned something like, I don't know what a fatty liver would look like on a chicken, but it didn't look like any fat. There was no yellow stuff. It just
yeah.
looked like a dark liver.
Well, my understanding, it's called FLHS, fatty liver hemorrhage syndrome, and it's my understanding is the liver. It's the liver that creates an abscess in the liver itself. It's not on the outside of the liver; it's on the outside of the liver, and primarily in hens, not 100%, but more in hens than cocks. Estrogen can be a factor in it. The high production of estrogen, especially if they're laying. The other thing is it's brought on a lot of times by high energy diets, like game fowls live on anyway. Like game fowl eat high energy, high protein diets. And what happens is basically the liver gets a fatty pocket in it, and it grows until it will hemorrhage like a blood vessel in your eye, and it just basically explodes, and then the liver poisons it to death.
This looked like a good chicken that just fell over
Yeah,
dead, man.
yeah,
And he's not old. He's only two and a half, I think, 2.5 years old. So it's
yeah.
not old at
Prime
all.
life. And that's the thing, when a cock is 10, 12 years old or older. I mean, I've seen them, the oldest chicken I ever saw personally was, I think, 21 years old. Ratliff had one that was 21 years old. He had a lot of 17 and 18-year-old cocks down there in Menlo when I was living on the farm. He had a lot of old roosters there that he continued to breed. I mean, and then he was one that if he had an old brood cock like that, he would just let the rooster live and live out his life, and you know didn't get rid of him just out of loyalty to all those years of good production and service. He didn't figure it
Yeah.
cost him that much to have one like that. I
Yeah.
remember he had a white Spurrier Walton cock there that's like 18, 19 years old. He'd been a dark rooster, and from Tom, I think it was a gift from Tom Spurrier, or the bloodline was, and then uh, and dark rooster and molded out completely white. Was white with dark legs, and really an unusual looking. But he was like 18 years old at that time. Uh, but a lot of things, you come out, you find them, you try to look at the obvious stuff if you can see it. Things like heat stroke, well, did he get hung on a cord? I've had that happen before. You get one that gets, hung on a little twig or something, and his cord's
Twisted
out
up.
in the sun or twisted around the stake. The damn,
Yep.
a damn 20-cent swivel kill a $500 cock, you know,
That's right.
uh, that kind of thing. Uh, Heart attack, stroke. Uh,
That's
I've
what I'm
I've
going.
seen.
I'm going with heart attack because he was in a brood pen. He had a lot. Janelle told me there's a lot of fertile eggs. So because I said, did we get any offspring from him? He said, yeah, there's a lot of fertile eggs right now. He already candled them, and they're all fertile. So he was handling business.
Yeah.
He,
What were you breeding them over? Were you breeding
uh,
pure bugs, or were you breeding them
no,
across?
just Mel Sims Black and some of my old Mel Sims Black. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see that post today? That post from the guy who bought the Mel Sims Black from us at Expo in 2019?
No, I've been running all day. I went up to the farm and
He
came
tagged
home
us
and
in it.
oh
He
look,
tagged us in
maybe
it. A guy bought some, and he's had them, like, I think he said 8 years or something. He bought them from us back several years ago. Maybe, I don't remember exactly the expo, but he bought them from us at the expo. There's pictures of it, and
no.
uh,
Well, the first
uh,
expo we did was 2018, so that would be
okay. Yeah,
coming up on
yeah,
8
that'd be about right. That'd be almost 8 years. So yeah, they're still breeding them. They're still out there. People still. Uh, it's funny. I've had people out of the hatch stuff uh, that I've sold. People have come out of the woodwork since I went back into raising and fighting again. People have come out of the woodwork, talking about this is our winning line, and doing well with the hatch stuff, which has some of your hatch blood in it. Uh, they're I always liked your hatch fowl. They're really good chickens, and whatever I stumbled across, they apparently turned out pretty well, the way that way they're performing and stuff. But getting back to SDS, uh, choking on feed or even baby chicks choking on water. Baby chicks drinking water too fast, getting some in their lungs. But I've seen chickens choke to death on feed plenty of times. I've
Yeah,
seen
me,
that more than
yeah,
once. Adult fowl and baby chicks.
yeah. Choking on feed. That's what I honestly thought that's what it might be. That's why I told him to open it up. And when it was empty, he was empty and just nothing. So I figured heart attack now is what I went with.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. I've had roosters die of heart attacks. Like I said, heat stroke. Uh, uh, and I've experienced this more times than I care to think about. But breaking their damn neck getting on the roost pole. I've had that happen with hens 4 or 5 times in my career with chickens. But breaking a neck, either flying up or flying down uh, uh, on a roost pole. Have you ever experienced that?
No, I haven't had a broken neck like that. No. But you know what? Remember I had that crooked neck chicken that when he was young he got spooked.
Yeah.
That ended up being a 3-time winner. That McLean I had with the broken neck, the
Yeah.
crooked neck McLean. That's how that happened.
Yeah. See, there you go. I
But
told you those hats were good.
he survived the broken neck.
Even with a broke neck, he's still doing. He's still. I guess he looked like Ed from the you know 90 Day Fiance. I think that guy's name was Ed
Big
or whatever.
Ed,
Yeah,
Big
Big
Ed.
Ed. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh boy, they're crooked neck hats. They'll live on in infamy with that. Uh, I've had hens put a hen in, and the hens begin to fight, and one break the other one's neck before I could get them separated. I had that happen a long time ago. Uh, I've seen cocks on the. I've had cocks on one occasion uh, kill a stag, a 9 month old, 8 9 month old stag with one blow. Just hit him one time and hit him in the right place. I've had him knocked out a few times, but I've had one like that. But the sudden death that we're talking about is where you just walk out and find them. It's like we were saying earlier. Especially your good ones. Just about anything that just the most ridiculous shit that you can imagine will end up happening to your best chickens. It just seems, you
Well,
know,
I was just gonna tell you, I keep certain, like I even have some roosters on cords that are those laying roosters for thieves. I put them in certain places wherever it's easy to, where I think the thief can come in. I put stuff there because it's cheaper to feed them than put a good rooster there. And so I put coals around for
yeah,
the thieves to get, and none of those died. None of
no,
them died.
no, those sons of bitches will live forever. Yeah, they'll, that's,
None,
and
none of them ever died. None of them. I tell Janelle all the time, hey, you guys can. Janelle doesn't eat chicken, but the other two workers do. I said, you can kill some of those and eat them for dinner, if you guys want. I come out to they're still there. Then my damn mug kicks over dead for no reason.
well, and that's the way it goes. You put your best broodcock in the most protected place on the
Yes,
farm,
man.
where the
Yes.
and a bolt will come off an airplane and fall out of the sky and hit him in the head. You'll find the Boeing bolt there that popped out and fell 26,000 feet and landed on top of your broodcock.
After the typhoon, I get the message. We're all safe. Only 3 chickens died. Which ones?
Oh, you don't even
The
have to
brood
ask.
from
Yeah,
the tree.
yeah.
One tree fell and just smoked all 3 of Steve's broodcocks, man. So that's how it's
It
gonna be. So the sudden
it it
death, no matter
it
what, will
happens.
target your good kid.
It happens like that. The thing about like with organ failure, moldy feed is another one that'll bring on death in chickens. The thing about organ failure though is uh, the chicken can't complain. A lot of the
Yeah,
things that kill people kill chickens. Heart attack,
yeah,
stroke, heat stroke, choking on choking on a biscuit, but all kills people too. But the thing with people can bitch about it, oh, my damn gallbladder is hurting me, but a chicken's not going to complain. So unless you're seeing visual symptoms, which you don't always, uh,
Yep.
then it just
Lorente said
appears like,
that. He says that all the time. The chicken had a bad day today. Maybe he was sick and he couldn't tell me. Because normally they fight good, and then on that day he fights like shit. So
yeah.
yeah, I think that there's something to that.
Some of the things that some of the things like neurotic enteritis will cause the chicken to die suddenly. Newcastle. You
Oh
may
yeah.
not see any symptoms from Newcastle in fowl, and boom, they just fall over dead. You find them dead in the pen, but you won't ever know it unless you test it, and find out, which nobody I know is going to go to that extent. Uh, Merrick's is one that they may not show. Now, most people associate Merrick's with the seizures and the drunk chicken symptoms, and that's common symptoms of it. But sometimes Merrick's will kill, and some chickens are carrier of Merrick's, but they don't ever show any symptoms. But they may just fall over dead one day. You walk out and you find them in a pen. So that's another thing that can, you know. So there's a lot of stuff that you know that can happen that and I'd like the audience to chime in here and let us know if you've experienced that where your favorite rooster, favorite hen, that stag you've been watching since he popped out of the eggshell. You've been watching him grow, and you've been thinking, okay,
Feeding the
there's my
good
next.
feed.
Yeah,
Brood
the good
cock.
stuff.
That's right. The brood cocks eating good.
Yeah, yeah, and then all of a sudden you find him out there in the range dead, or you find him in the pen dead.
It's always good.
It happens like that. It does. Now, Big Mike, you always, and I do a lot of times, but you always cut everything open. If it's unexplained, you always cut it open. Tell me a little bit about that. And
Mm.
Ratliff did that for years because he was a butcher by trade back in the 40s, and so uh, uh, what can you learn by cutting one open?
Okay. Yeah, cutting them open is how I learned what Merrick's was. Because I kept looking, like I said before earlier, certain diseases look the same. So
Oh yeah,
when it started getting skinny, it got skinny, and when I had I had Juby cut it open, there were just tumors all over inside this thing. And when I looked it up online, that's how I learned what Merrick's was. So
yeah.
uh, plus you can see normal stuff if it choked on feed. It kind of just helps you. Well, for me, it helps my guys. It helps them to know that they didn't do anything wrong, or if they did do something wrong, they can learn from it. You know, but I always
Yeah,
do that.
well, and guys a lot of times they don't exactly know how to check fat, and Ratliff said that he cut up open chickens for years, especially in the dead pile. He'd take the roosters out of the dead pile that there when he was running the pit in Jal, New Mexico, and he said the majority of the chickens that lost or fat.
Mm.
You can cut them open and see how fat attaches to the organs. It's not just gut fat. If you got gut
Lorente
fat,
showed me that.
you got fat everywhere else.
Lorente showed me that because Lorente used to clean the dead chickens because here they eat them. Everybody knows that. So when he used to have the tick bug high at the house, people pay 50 pesos uh, for the chicken to have the feathers removed. So he would do that, and then he would show me, like on the chickens that we won against, he would say, "This is why I picked this chicken to fight against. 'Cause I knew he was fat. He was going to be slow." And he'd show me like how how the meat has that yellow stuff on it. So, cutting roosters open or hens, you can really learn a
You
lot
can
about
learn a
these chickens.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really can. The other thing that a couple other things that people don't really And I'm like, guys say this all the time. Well, my chickens don't have worms. I saw a guy the other day bragging about that he wormed twice a year, and he didn't have no worms. I said, you try cutting one open sometime. When's the last time you cut one open and tell me you only worm twice a year and you don't have worms? I find that hard to believe. Just because they're not shitting worms, that means worms are staying in them. That means it's not. It's
If they don't have stress, they can be at a manageable level. You know what I mean? Because dogs live with worms. Here, the street
Oh yeah,
dogs live with worms. They absolutely have worms, but they live with it because the neighbors are feeding them. They're not under stressful situations. But I tell you, that's why old dogs don't survive here, because once they get old, their body can't handle it. Then the worms attack them. So yeah, I could understand a guy saying that. I could, but what you're saying is right. If he cut them open and squeezed one of the intestines, I I bet something will come
yeah.
out. For
I'm sure he's got a lot. And it might not be. You know, anytime something's sucking the blood out of it,
yeah.
it can't be a good thing. Whether it's a
Well,
worm or a
who,
vampire or an
who else
ex-wife,
told you that?
if it's sucking the blood out of you, it ain't good.
Who else told you their chickens didn't have worms 8 years ago? Me.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
It was me, because I had just brought them out there. You're like, man, there's something wrong with your chickens. The breasts ain't right. They got worms. I said, man, I just dewormed them. And you said, what did you use? And I told you that CT Williams, and I brought it there, and you opened up one of the capsules and put it down and said, and put it on your tongue and said, taste that. And I tasted it. I was like, there's nothing there. What is that? And
Sawdust.
it seemed like, yeah, like sawdust or charcoal, right?
It was,
And
yeah, it's like sawdust and charcoal is what I think what it was. I know it was sawdust. I mean, you know, it
but it
was
didn't have no medicine taste to it at
no.
all. And then the next day, he told me buy kerosene, so I bought kerosene, and we got out there and put. Well, I
Well, we
bought
did
kerosene. I also bought lye. We did lye one time. We mixed it with the feed, and we did that. We tried
the
all these
kerosene.
different dewormers.
The kerosene. We did 40 cocks, and I wormed 20 of them with kerosene, and the other 20 we didn't worm with anything. And we did a
Yeah,
comparison. If you'll remember, we did a comparison like in a week's time, and the 20 that
yeah.
we did with the kerosene compare, you could see the difference. The heads got red, the body started coming
Yeah.
back. You know that.
And they crapped out worms within 2 hours. I've
Yeah,
done that
yeah.
now also. I put them in 3x3s, and I put what's the dewormers I use? I bought three dewormers. Gosh, I can't remember the ones. But that's how I know that wormall works good also. I've been using wormall because when I put them on the 3x3 on the matting that I gave that wormall to, crapped out a bunch of worms.
I'm a big fan of the Vermex Forte. The Vermex 4 works
Yep, I
good,
use
but
that.
the Vermex Forte works good. Uh, the Bastinero occasionally. What I like about the Bastinero Plus is you can give it in a pill, but you can give it to chicks in liquid form. Uh, and uh, you know, Getting off on worming here, but deworming will keep down the stress in your chickens. It'll if they're stressed and overcrowded, and you're going to end up with worms, and you're going to end up with chickens that when it's like that, they're stressed on the outside and they're stressed on the inside as well. It's taxing on them,
And
and
environment
yeah,
environment here. It doesn't snow, it doesn't get cold. So it here in the tropics, man, Jesus, people get worms here.
oh yeah,
The
oh yeah.
animals can have.
No doubt. And back years ago, when I was a kid, I've taken worm pills when I was a kid. The doctors would worm you back then. I remember Ratliff telling me a story about how that he was real sick when he was a child, and they took him to the doctor and just about giving up hope on him because he couldn't. And it's in one of the articles. There was an article written about him in a newspaper as a young man, and they talk about the story there. I've got it somewhere, but they'd sent him home basically and just diagnosed him with some, consumption or some some shit that just made up diagnosis and take him home, keep him comfortable, nothing we can do for him. And some old country doctor, they took him to him, and he said, "Here, give him this," and gave him something to deworm him. I don't know if it's turpentine. They used that a lot back then. They gave kerosene to people back then as a medication. That's years ago. Now I'm not endorsing anybody take kerosene, but it's good for your chickens. But he was wormy, and it was killing him. It was absolutely killing him because the worms were sucking the
Wow.
life out of him. And so after they dewormed him a couple of times, he got much better and healed up and lived to be 94. So he came around pretty well.
Right.
The other thing that you can see when you
Yeah.
cut open chickens, when you do autopsy on a chicken like that, is you can see the effects of disease in your chickens where you think they healed up over a respiratory illness, or they healed up over chicken pox, fowl pox, or you think they healed up from something that they had. And the reality is, when you cut one open, you'll see the scarring. You can talk about that, Big Mike.
Yeah. Well, also in the sparring too, like uh, my first batch I ever had got fowl pox and they healed up. But we had a few that when you sparred them any longer, their face would turn purple, and
Yeah,
damn near fall over. And that was because that foul. That's why I tell people if yours get foul pox, be careful because you won't see some of the damage that's been done. But when we were out there at the old farm, we would cut things open, even wounded
yeah.
roosters, and you could see how they healed up or didn't heal so well. Yeah, I mean, I always do it. I mean, anytime something I can look in it and see what, especially here we eat them too,
Yeah.
so we get to see it all.
Guys, that's it. We're going to wrap up here.
Yeah. Well,
Sudden death syndrome, it's a real thing. It happens a lot. Uh,
here
uh,
they call it they lose their air. When they
yeah,
fight them and they can't, they lose.
yeah, yeah. Their air's not the only thing they lose, too. They lose their ass, they lose their money, they lose it all. So it happens. Guys, again, we appreciate you watching. If you If you are new to the show or you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps us out. It helps us with the algorithm and puts us in front of more people in the feed here on YouTube. Uh, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, and email us at Bruce and Big Mike Bruce and Big Mike at gmail.com. Got too many irons in the fire here, Mike. I'm stuck in automatic mode. But speaking of take on the world, there's some footage from there that I'm gonna try to put together some footage for one of the upcoming shows. Me and Big Mike eating chicken head. Me and Big
Wow.
Mike eating Betamax. Some of the Filipino treats. I thought that was pretty fun, interesting. Chicken's feet, which they call Adidas here. Mike and I went on a rampage and trying Filipino street food, and some of it was pretty good, and some of it was pretty awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I told you, I recently I sent you that picture of me eating snails. They don't
Yeah,
call them snails. They got mad. They told me don't call them snails. They're shells.
yeah.
But
They're
yeah, they're from the
escargot if you're French, I guess. But I've eaten them
really
before, but
good.
it's been a long
It
time.
was good, man. I tell you, man, it was good. I would tell you the truth. If it wasn't good, I would tell you.
Yeah,
But it was
well,
good.
escargots like little meaty mushrooms. They're. I actually like them. Ate them several times over the years. But when you're eating a chicken's head, that's a little different. That takes some. When you feel that
That
brain
brain.
crushing.
Oh,
Yep.
that brain. I remember that
Yeah.
squish.
Yeah, guys, we tried balut. We tried the chicken blood. We tried it all, and we'll try to get a few of those on over the coming weeks and little segment on here for you. But guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in very much. Uh, go support Black Rooster. Go to the website www.topspur.tv and check out some of the books and the streaming videos. You can purchase those there if you want to see how we raise chickens, how we condition chickens, and how we point. You can find it all out there. Big Mike, give you the final word here, buddy.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. Take care.